So, as you guys know, the world is getting crazier and crazier as the days go by. And recently in the UK, a teacher scolded a student who made fun of another student for identifying as a cat. The student told the cat identifying student that they were crazy for identifying as a cat, that they were wrong. And the teacher goes off on these kids for having the common sense to realize you're not a cat. But apparently in 21st century Western civilization, some of us are cats. You can't make this up.
How dare you? You just really upset someone. Saying things like should be in an asylum.
I didn't say that. I just think if they want to identify as a cat or something, then they're like genuinely on that.
And they've gone
They're just crazy.
You were questioning their identity.
I wasn't a question. I was just saying about the gender. I didn't say anything about them.
Where do you get this idea from that there's only two genders?
I was just saying my opinion.
That is my opinion.
If I respect their opinion, can't they respect my
It
opinion?
is not an opinion.
Yeah, but
It's not an opinion you
It's
can
only
have.
sex.
Those people think there's only two
There's
genders.
only a boy and a girl.
Literally. There's no other private part. Literally.
Gender is not linked to do with not linked to
There is
the
only
parts
two.
that you were born with. Gender is about how you identify.
That is so not true. Gender has everything to do with sex. The idea that you can be a man and just walk around with long flowing hair, a bra, walking around like a woman, all zesty, sundress on, Michael Kors, like the idea that you could be out here a full-fledged female and say, I'm a man, like, no, you're not. You're definitely not a man. Not only are you biologically not a man, you are not even expressing the gender or the gender role of a man. The idea that your gender is what you identify as is so ridiculous. The idea that gender as an identity, as an expression, is simply based in societal norms. You think societal norms come from nothing? You think men, you think we as a society, we as a species, for the majority of our history, have sent men to war? Or had men build cities and forts and castles and all sorts of bridges? You think we as a species chose to have men do those things just because? Y'all think gender roles exist just because? These gender roles and gender expressions exist because of natural inclinations. Does it mean that we should treat a woman like crap because she's a tomboy? No, if she likes being boyish, that's her thing. If she wants to be a man when she grows up and transition as an adult, that's her business. But when we start lying to kids and saying gender is whatever you want it to be, then are you actually transitioning to a different gender, or are you just becoming a different species of something else? To say that gender and sex aren't linked is just not true. And this is one of the main reasons why the trans community is struggling so much right now. This discussion and debate should have been over a long time ago. Out of all the LGBTQ communities, the trans community is the one struggling the most because of this crazy talk that other people are spewing about this nonsense of gender is what you identify as. It has nothing to do with your sex. It's got nothing to do with sex. Of course it does. Of course it does. Y'all think women's preferences for colors, lifestyle choices, the way they socialize, the things that they're attracted to, the people they're attracted to, the activities, you think all of this stuff is just socialized? You don't think any of this stuff has any bearing in biology? Y'all think little boys are fascinated with trucks and cars and planes at a young age for no reason? Y'all think that humans don't have biological predispositions based on gender? You think it's a coincidence that young boys are more fascinated with guns and bombs and planes than little girls are, and swords and armor and all of that? You think little boys just because they're socialized? Stop. This idea that everything is a social it's the same thing as the right wing. Everything's a conspiracy. Oh, boys are predisposed to liking blah blah blah. Well, that's because society conspired to make them that way. No. The patriarchy made them that way. No. The genders, or the sexes. Actually, no, forget it. I'm saying what I want to say. The genders have predispositions and a story, bruh.
Which is what I said right from the very beginning.
No, I just don't agree with that. So why should I have to listen to
Biological sex, there is actually pre-biological sex, because you can be born into sex. You can be born with male and female body parts or hormones.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
It is free, it's not free. Doesn't mean...
Yeah, there's three. I'm talking about biological sex. In terms of gender, there are lots of genders. There is transgender, there is agender, people that don't believe they have a gender at all.
Yeah, but you can't have that.
You can't have that, it's not a law.
Yeah, it's not a law. It's our opinion, we just don't agree with it. We just think it's all just... If you have a child and you're a girl, then you would use the one. Yeah.
But cisgender is not necessarily the way to be. You are talking about the fact that cisgender is the norm. That you identify with the gender of the sexual order that you're born with or you're with. That's basically what you're saying. Yeah. Which is really despicable.
How? When it's if I called my mum right now, my mum would be sad. If I called my mum, she'd sad.
Well, that's very sad as well then.
How is it? Loads of people agree with that. There's only a small majority of people who actually think that.
And why do you think we have so many problems in the world with homophobia?
See how she tries to shift the argument to homophobia? Because she knows the truth. Only a minority of people believe in this psychotic nonsense of there's multiple genders. You can be agender, you can be this. No, you cannot. No, you're not. You are like even transgender people have to accept the biological fact you are not the gender you identify as. Factually speaking, you are not. This is the reason why people throw out shit like, well, I'm a helicopter, I'm a frog, I'm a wolf, I'm a bear. You are clearly not that. Now, if for some reason you identify as that, and there are biological reasons for why you identify as the opposite sex, that's fine. When you grow up and you're old enough and you're an adult and you really, really want to make that change, do what you want to do. But the idea that there are multiple genders, agender, this, that, and the third, no, there's men and there's women. And the identity of men and women is closely linked to our biological predispositions from birth. It is a fact. It is a fact. And this idea that you could be this gender, that gender, blah, blah, blah. No, this is called a make-believe. It's crazy to me that the part of politics that used to make fun of right-wing Christians for believing that the earth was 5,000 years old are now the same people telling everybody there's multiple genders besides two. What are we talking about here? What's the other gender based off of? There's no such thing as a gender. I have no gender. Okay, you don't align with male or female biological, male or female social roles. That's fine, but that doesn't mean you don't have a gender. Like I'm almost willing to bet you have some sort of inclination toward one or the other. You're not some kind of weird other species, because that's basically what you're saying you are, some other species. This is all nonsense. How many people are actually agender? How many people are transgender? The idea that this stuff is the norm, or that it's something that society should say, yeah, there's multiple genders, there's agender, there's this gender, there's that gender. Stop. Please stop. And then to sit there and say that what these little girls believe is despicable. To speak to children that way. Who are you? One thing I really hate about teachers who are highly opinionated is speaking to children in this way. These are kids. They're not adults. When you address children, you take your emotions out of the situation. You are addressing children. Let's just say in a perfect world, there was such a thing as multiple genders, and these little girls were dead ass wrong. Even still, you have to be able to separate your emotions from the subject. When you get into these emotionally hot debates with these children, they're not listening to what you got to say, bro. They're just as emotional, if not more emotional than you. They're kids. Talking to kids, talking about they're despicable and that their parents are sad for believing and there's only two genders, all this foolishness is going on. Why are you talking to children that way? And we see this over and over and over again with teachers who identify with this far left ideology, is they're highly emotional and aggressive with kids in school. I don't understand what's wrong with these teachers. And it's the ones that are radical leftists. I'm not talking about just plain old. I've had liberal teachers that were normal. They could separate their emotions from the conversation and engage with students. But these radical leftist lunatics, nah, G, they're crazy.
Yeah, but that's not homosexual, that's gender. Yeah. I'm fine with lesbians and gay people. I've got nothing against them.
But gender there is a link between it. And you're saying that people can't change.
No, they
who they want
can't.
to be.
They can't. Unless you get a
so
penis
wrong.
attached. No, I'm not.
You're confusing sex and gender.
No, I'm not though. Because if
Yes,
you have a
you are.
vagina and you're a girl, you have a penis, you're a boy.
Yeah, you can't have a vagina and be a girl. But then
Yeah,
Unless you
identify
get
as a girl.
even then,
Gender
because
is
you've got
about
those
how
genes.
you identity.
I
How you
don't agree with
identify.
that.
Yeah,
But it's not an opinion that
Yes,
we
it is.
express in this
Yes,
school.
it is.
No, it's not. If you don't like it, you need to go to a different school. So
I did go to
I'm
different
reporting. We need to have a proper educational conversation about equality, diversity, and inclusion.
She basically just told him, you need to go to the re-education camp. That's where you need to go over there and be re-educated. You need to be over there and, masked up, stuck in a room. There is no war in Ba Sing Se. That's what needs to happen to you is basically what this lady just said. You need to have an educational That's what's happening right there. You telling these little girls that they need to have an educational conversation. Big homie, you in the conversation with the kids. Talk to them. What you doing? Talking about some, you need to be reported. You shouldn't go to this school anymore. For what? Because they don't believe that this child is a cat? What the fuck, bro? What the fuck is going on? Because these little girls don't think this little girl is a cat. Because they don't believe this little kid is a cat, they need to leave the school, bro. What's going on? Yo, Bryn, what's going on with y'all, bro? Y'all got to get it together. They talking about they need to be reported and leave the school because they don't think a child is a cat, bro. Yo, it'd be one thing if they were getting on the kid's ass for thinking that they were a boy or a girl. The child thinks that they're a fucking cat, bro. What's next? She's a rat? We gonna call her. She gonna be coming up in class doing all of this and biting cheese and we all gonna be cool with it, bro? Stop. They need to go to a new school because they don't fuck with the cat shit. What's going on? You need to have an educational conversation. That's your job, bro. You're the teacher. Get in there. Talk to these kids. You all in your feelings. You like a half a decade older than these kids. You like a decade and a half older than these kids and you steady talking to them crazy. What's going on? It just sickens me how these teachers who are like a decade and a half older than these kids can't be able to have I'm so thankful for the teachers that I had who disagree with me and other students, but were able to say, hey, you know what? They were able to remove their emotions from the conversation. Even when kids were being disrespectful or emotional, they were able to say, you know what, they were able to mentally realize these are kids. They don't understand the full scope of what I'm trying to tell them. And maybe one day in the future, they will understand what I'm trying to say. This lady has her feelings so invested in a topic that isn't even that serious. The child thinks they're a cat, bruh.
Because I'm not having that expressed in my lesson. But I'm teaching you about you can be who you want to be. How you identify is up to
So
you.
everyone else thinks it, they just don't say it because they're not.
Yeah.
Maybe because they're polite, maybe they're sensitive.
I haven't said anything in all of the lessons I've been there. It's just because they turn around and start saying something. So might say, how can you identify as a cat when you're a girl?
Well,
Yeah.
they're now writing a statement. I would imagine that you'll be asked to write a statement as well.
We will.
We will.
That was ominous music. But then again, to be honest, the ominous music is appropriate because that was some demonic stuff. And I'm not even really religious like that. But yo, that was evil. You need to go to another school. You need to write a statement. I'm reporting you. Like, you finna report these kids and get them kicked out of the school and write statements over the kid identifying as the little girl thinks she's a cat. Bro, the little child thinks she's a cat. The other girls are saying, yo, you not really all the way there if you think you a cat. All you got to do in this adult and say, hey, look, your friend thinks she's a cat. Be nice, be respectful, and move forward. That's all you got to do. Kids sometimes do crazy stuff. They're kids. I'm sure this little girl who thinks she's a cat will one day grow up and realize she's not a cat. But as of right now, she thinks she's a cat. As an adult, your job is to minimize tension between the children, and if a discussion comes from that, discuss the topic with them reasonably and rationally. All this, you need to be expelled, and how you gonna tell them blah, blah, blah. And then what really kills me as a teacher is like, it's not an opinion that people can identify as whatever they want. What is that based off of? Objective fact? We know objectively that they're not a woman. We know objectively that they're not a man. We know objectively that they're not a cat. So this is literally just opinion, because we know factually speaking that these people are for damn sure not what they're claiming to be. Do I have an issue with them identifying as that? No. Do I have an issue with them transitioning to that? No. As adults, no. But do I have an issue with you trying to tell the rest of the world that this is fact in stone? Yes. I have an issue with that. Stop trying to make the rest of the world jump into the delusion. At the most we can do as a society is treat these people with respect and dignity and kindness and move forward. But all of this, you got to believe what we believe. No, we don't. No, we don't. Thank you very much. And if I was a parent and I found out my kid was being spoken to that way by a teacher, you gonna see me, and that's facts, bro. Like, why are you talking to these kids like that? They're children. They are children. Address them as such. You over there arguing back and forth with little kids. Like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Over a little girl thinking she's a cat. What the fuck, bro? What the fuck, bro? The little girl thinks she's a cat, and the teacher is screaming at little kids over this cat child, bro. What the fuck, bro? Yo, hey, yo. If any Europeans see this shit, explain to me what the fuck is going on over there in Britain, bro. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out, bro.